Michael, Troma's War. Everything was going fine. I was on my way to making a remake of Terrence Malick's Days of Heaven, and you decided we should make a war film. Why?
Well, as I recall, Ronald Reagan, the greatest president we've ever had, was in office, and we hadn't had a real war, since Vietnam. And I was concerned that the people around the world wouldn't know the horrors of war, wouldn't feel that war was something we shouldn't do. Therefore, I thought Troma's War would bring all of the guts, the blood, the violence, the reasons that we don't like war, except in a cinematic sense. So that's why I wanted to do it. I don't know why you agreed.
Well, I'm a yes man, as you know.
Yes.
I
know.
Question number two, if you pardon the expression. What was the budget? It seemed we filmed for about 6 weeks, and we had thousands of people and special effects and mutant Siamese twins. And do you remember how much it cost? Because you were more involved in that.
I don't remember in dollars, but I know we spent over 1 million squibs. You know those things that you put on the body that explode with the blood on them?
You mean those things that the MPAA made us cut out, but didn't cut out of Bruce Willis's Die Hard? Those kind of things? Well, fuck the MPAA, if you don't mind my saying so.
Amen, brother. Originally, we budgeted like 100 squibs, and we ended up using like 3 million. I think that's why we were slightly over budget.
Do you remember, what was the budget in 1985 or 86? Or
probably close to, $1 million.
Which for us is a big amount,
especially in the 80s. $1 million was $1 million in those days.
What were some of the things that were cut out? Because the MPAA cut out, I remember they cut out punching someone in the mouth and spitting out these giant chiclet teeth.
Well, I do remember that of the 6 million squibs that we used, about 5,950,000 had to be removed. And the MPAA was so kind as to initially not give us any guidance as to why the film was too violent. And so we had to guess. And then we resubmitted, and it still was too violent. So finally, we had to beg them to give us specific cuts.
That's right.
And they gave us an Encyclopedia Britannica of cuts to make.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, did you not have a conversation with Dr. Helfner, the boss, the president, who said your movie is NFG, no fucking good?
Did he say that?
If I recall,
because I know a lot of people have told me that about a variety of.
But the MPAA are not supposed to have opinions. No. But the president of the MPAA, Dr. Helfner or something.
Hefner?
Hefner, that was it. Hefner, not Hugh Hefner, who's actually a talented person. That told my partner that the movie was NFG, and they cut everything out. And the problem was you had to. You may not remember this, but we had to be in movie theaters. You couldn't get into movie theaters without an R rating.
From the MPAA, that's right.
Yeah. And you had to pay for that, too. They charged you around $3,000 for that, so you can have your film chopped up. They cut the dead bodies out. They cut fist fights. They cut everything.
Yeah.
And nothing. And they made us, they wouldn't look at a rough cut. You had to have the composite print. That meant you had to be mixing and send them a theatrical print. And then they would look at it and tell you. So that meant you had to chop up the print, or you had to go back and remix. And we couldn't afford that. So all we could do was chop up prints.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah. So when the movie came out, and this was after Nukem I and the Toxic Avenger, the fans of Troma who came to see Troma's War, with all the cuts, they thought we had sold out.
Right.
And that we had made a G-rated movie with a few guns in it. And the old men who were looking for some good old war pictures came and said, what the heck is this with the Siamese mutants, Siamese twins? And so we got killed. Some fans have asked the question, they have somehow gotten the idea that Troma's War was a commercial failure. That is not my recollection.
Well, in one respect it was, because as you say, the rotten MPAA eviscerated the film, cut out the best parts. It was hard to follow the dialogue and the narrative on a theatrical level. But after we took it out of theaters, when we could reconstitute it to its glorious Lloyd Kaufman profile, and in fact, even to this date, I understand many of the fans, even though they're octogenarians, write and email. Well, they mostly write. They don't know what email is. That Troma's War is one of their fine. They love Troma's War.
Hence this beautiful, digitally reproduced, lovingly remastered director's cut Blu-ray of Troma's War.
It's about time.
But I recall that the most successful country or countries with Troma's War were our good friends in Germany and our good friends in Japan.
Unusual that they would like such a film about war.
Well, it's
Huh?
c'est la vie.
There's a surprise every minute.
Now, Troma's War has a lasting appeal, and the word of mouth. The nice thing about Troma movies is that word of mouth, you can't buy that, but it takes time. And now Troma's War is one of our most successful. To what do you, Michael Herz, attribute that, if you do?
Well, you know, I was pondering that just the other night when I knew I was about to sit with you and do this interview. And by the way, it's great to be back. I know I've been a little remiss sharing my thoughts with our loyal fans. But anyways, yes, I know why it's popular. Because war has become popular again. Used to be that war was something nobody really wanted to do. Now, everybody wants to go to war. It's chic. It's cool again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the world has to thank you for letting the notion of war fester all of these years. And now we're releasing the archetype for war themes.
Well, it's nice of
Troma's
you
War.
to say that, but I would like to correct you and say the world should thank us, Michael.
Oh,
because,
thank you.
We directed that movie together.
Also, we brought some very controversial themes to that film. HIV, AIDS, I think was first introduced to the popular culture through Troma's War. Terrorism, which is very fashionable today all over the world. I think we were the first to bring that to the fore.
We certainly were.
There was a rip-off television show, Lost and Found, or something about people deserted on an island and blah, blah, blah. They ripped that off from Troma's War.
Well, that's what the fans say. I haven't seen that. But the good news about Lost, if that's to what you refer, is the big fat guy with the raccoon on his head who starred in Tales from the Crapper, who we discovered.
Mm-hmm.
I think they call him the fat hunk or the something hunk. He is one of the stars. He was or is one of the stars of Lost. Kind of a link between Troma's War and Troma and Lost. But that's up to the fans. I don't know that Lost. I can't say that.
The Squeeze Play was ripped off by that Madonna thing movie with the girl baseball players. The First Turn On was ripped off by a bunch of camp movies. Pretty much every movie you ever made has been ripped off.
Yeah, that is true. Schindler's List was just a remake of Terra Firma. It's ridiculous.
It's a perfect example.
Do you remember where the film was shot, Michael Herz?
I know that we shot it upstate New York in Peekskill. And I believe we shot it a large part on a military base, as I recall.
We did.
And a lot of the crew and the cast stayed in the bunks and the facilities for the soldiers. And those were happy days for the crew and the cast, I can tell you that.
Well, we had male and female in the same dormitory, so
yes,
that helped make it.
Although that really doesn't matter. The sexes, I mean, what do you bring up the sex for?
Well, it's a good way to relieve oneself after a hard day on the set.
Yeah, but you could be a male and a male and female and a female. You know?
I am, but not everybody goes the way I do. Now, there was a lot of loving. It was a house full of loving. I do remember that.
Well, I think you set the stage because you were. You just can't help when you look at you, and especially your directorial style. It's a real macho kind of approach, and I know the women were really turned on while you were directing them.
Yes,
and some of the men too.
I didn't ask any of the women to take their clothes off.
No,
the men I asked. Yes, I did ask them. Fans are very eager to know. Did we sleep in the same place? Did we? What was the dynamic between us, Michael Herz?
It's the dynamic that we've shared for the last 40 plus years, and that is I stay away from you as far as possible, spending as little time as possible with you and around you. And in fact, I tried to get home every night to sleep close to my my beautiful wife, while you were sleeping with the masses on the set.
Well, you were not alone in wanting to
wait till Mara sees this.
Avoid Lloyd was the slogan.
Exactly.
And, avoid Lloyd. There were signs up on the set.
In fact, that's why we let you do all the traveling to all of these film festivals. And
that's right.
You get all the big awards and sign all the autographs.
I am so lucky.
So am I, because I get to be alone in the office.
I had to leave the set. And you,
For the few days that I was directing, it was raining every day. The ground turned to mud, and it was cold. It was very cold.
that's totally incorrect.
And
That's not correct.
this
You-
is am
You
I
were
recollecting
directing.
or
You were
recollecting?
directing in the muddy area, but I'm talking about the days. The one day when I wasn't there, and
It was only one day.
there was one day when Pat gave the birth, and I came right back.
Oh,
But do you remember that?
I do.
You were a hero.
In fact, the crew said to me, you know, when Lloyd is here, he takes a full day to do one shot. But when you're here, you do a whole day's shooting in one take. And for some reason, they like me. They like me. I don't know.
Yes, we had a strike on.
We didn't even have to have lunch that day. Everybody left at around 10:30 in the morning.
We had a
were
strike
done.
also on Troma's War. We had a strike because I wouldn't give them. They wanted like fried chicken, Kentucky fried chicken. I said, no, you have the cheese and that.
No hot lunch?
No hot lunch. It was, and then I called you up and you said, you are an asshole. Just give him the fucking fried chicken.
I remember that.
And then the guy went to pick up the Kentucky fried chicken. He crashed and there was chicken all over the road, huge amounts of chicken all over the highway.
That reminds me of another very amusing event. I had gotten home around 1 o'clock in the morning from one of your all-day marathon shoots. And just as I was about to close my eyes, I got a telephone call. It was the production manager telling me that the camera truck was incapacitated because they had put regular gas instead of diesel fuel in the tank. So therefore, the entire next day's shooting was in jeopardy because how are they going to get this equipment out of this truck and another truck? And of course, he was asking for my advice, and I told him. I said, go fuck yourself. And I hung up and I went back to bed, and I don't know what happened. What happened that day, but
somehow they got to the location.
Oh, really?
They managed to tow the truck or fix. I don't know, whatever it is.
That's great.
Nothing stopped us from filming. At any rate, they all loved Michael.
Thank you.
What else? What else do you recall, Michael?
What about the scorpion? Wasn't there a scorpion or a big
There
spider?
were many big spiders. Yes, many.
And didn't we have a spider wrangler on the set?
No, that was the first turn on. We had Tammy the
Oh,
Wonder
right.
Tarantula. That was on the first turn on with Vincent D'Onofrio, where you turned down Madonna. We had many spider bites on Troma's War, which came back again, kind of a reprise, a sequel, when we made Return to Nukem High Volume 1. We had many people getting bitten by spiders, but no brown recluse. On Troma's War, there were brown recluse.
So was that an homage to Troma's War that you wanted to recreate the...
Well, sequels are very popular. And speaking of recluse, you've been a little reclusive the last 35 years.
Well,
I don't say so.
I'd rather not speak about that.
Well, I think you should be more available. In fact, what is your sense of the person who was brought in to replace you?
Joe Flyshaker.
And most of the world thinks that you are Joe, that Joe Flyshaker is in fact Michael Herz.
Well, when I first saw him, I immediately sensed a kindred spirit, albeit in a larger package. I think he had the same sensibility as I had, the same aspirations that I had. He was very serious about his craft, just like I am. And it's really been an honor to have him represent me on the occasions when you try to torture me.
Well, if I may confide in you, I thought that if I put a big fat guy as you, that would upset you, and you would then beg me to bring you back for interviews like this. But in fact, it backfired.
Absolutely. Wrong again, Lloyd. Wrong again.
In fact, Michael Herz wanted Joe Flyshaker to actually take his desk at the Troma office so that Michael Herz wouldn't have to be seen anywhere. But luckily, I stopped at that. This is fascinating, Michael. The fans have a few more questions.
Do they?
Scott Lever, the stunt guy, had figured out the truck would go up and come crashing down on a boat and then explode. And Michael said, no, this is not going to happen because the laws of Pythagorean triangles do not work. I apologize for bringing this out, but I think the fans would be interested.
And what happened?
What happened was the boat explodes up in the air before it hits the boat.
You mean the car?
No, sorry, the truck. The truck explodes up in the air before it hits the truck.
And
I mean, before it hits the boat.
And I anticipated this.
No, you created the amazing truck in the air exploding before hitting Scott Lever had it worked out through the laws of Einstein and Pythagoras that the truck would hit the boat and then blow up.
So mine was a better idea?
You defied the laws
Just
of nature, and it's interesting, but it's not what.
The only interesting thing about that scene was that about a year ago, I was playing golf on Long Island, and I was paired with a very nice gentleman who was an ex-cop. And we got to talking, and he was there that day as part of the police protection for that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he never forgot that day, the Troma day.
The trumpet.
And he was quite a good golfer and a very nice guy.
He is not alone either. We left a trail of woe.
That's all I remember, really.
41 years of people not forgetting the Troma Day. But the other thing that Michael Herz did, if you remember, I'm sure you remember, prior to Troma's War, he had a big $1 billion movie where a guy did a stunt in a car, but he stayed in the car, went in the drink, and drowned.
And
Michael Herz said, even though the stuntmen wanted to be in the car because they're, cowboys.
Right.
I
said, not on my watch. Wasn't there a hovercraft in Troma's War?
There was. It was the first use ever.
That's
a
right.
hovercraft.
I remember that.
You pioneered it.
I went down to Florida. We were trying to get free stuff for a movie, and the hovercraft wanted to promote itself. No one had ever seen one before. I went through a very rigorous training program down in Florida, I might add. And they shipped it up, and I was driving this hovercraft. It was really amazing. Goes on land, goes on water, goes everywhere.
You were the hovercraft driver for the whole film,
That's
if I
right.
remember correctly. That's pretty dangerous because we had explosions near it. And,
I don't know about that. I don't want to brag on myself. But I also drove a bus in Toxic Avenger Part 2
and 3.
Two and 3.
3 and 3, I believe.
That was
more 3. It was actually 3.
That was more harrowing than the hovercraft because I had to drive with the toxie mask on my face.
No, it was the devil mask.
Or devil mask, and I couldn't see anything. And then there were like 100 kids at a picnic, and I was trying not to hit anyone, but I really couldn't see anything. So it was pretty lucky nobody died.
The only other question I see here that I don't think we've covered is that Troma's War. There came a day when I think you just decided to shut it down, right? You had enough, and I believe we weren't quite finished.
Well, we went through our 5 millionth squib, so we were out of squibs. So I figured that was the end.
Do you remember why you picked that particular time to just
no squibs?
Shut.
We were squibless.
Squibless. Okay. Well, we did have about a 4-hour movie, as I recall, and George Norris, who edited Joe, the Great Joe by John G. Avildsen, which was Peter Boyle and Susan Sarandon's first movie. We had him on Troma's War.
So the film was 4 hours, and it took 4 years to edit.
Took a long time to edit. Yeah, it was a big deal. And then you threw away all the outtakes. And so the African Queen scene, no clothes on, she falls in the river and comes out like Humphrey Bogart with leeches all over her. Terrific.
And so why wasn't that in the movie?
Because the MPAA cut it out. And then you threw away
violence? What was the reason for cutting it out?
Because the breasts had leeches on them. The MPAA cut out anything that they could cut out so that we couldn't compete with the big guys.
Yeah, they only cut out the commercial scenes, though, right?
They cut everything out.
Boring stuff they left.
They cut out the dead bodies with the maggots on them. They cut out fistfights. They cut out the beautiful Lisa falling in the water like a fromage to African Queen. But you then threw it all away.
What do you mean I threw it all away?
You threw the outtakes away. We could have had beautiful African Queen scene with the melon-heavy breast leeches.
I have a big surprise for you.
Yes.
I've recovered every outtake and every scene in Troma's War. Yes, I have. And I'm going to donate it to anyone who will send in $50 to me.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful thought. But I'll give you $50 for the African Queen scene.
Done.
At any rate, this has been a great privilege. And I would like to thank you publicly for 41 beautiful years, Michael Herz, and thank you very much.
Real pleasure. Oh man.
Turn the cameras off. Turn them off. No, turn them off.
Okay, good.
Turn them off.
Head to TalkinTroma.com for more Troma history. Also available wherever you listen.